Ricky Nelson entered the world already framed by applause. Born Eric Hilliard Nelson on May 8, 1940, in Teaneck, New Jersey, he was the son of America's favorite entertainment couple, Ozzie and Harriet Nelson. Long before he could understand fame, Ricky was living inside it, growing up on radio and television through the adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Audiences didn't just watch him act, they watched him age, change, and mature in real time. That familiarity made him feel like family to millions of Americans, a rare connection few performers ever achieve. Yet even as a child, Ricky showed a quiet independence, a subtle sense that he was more than a character written for him. Unlike many child stars, he didn't rebel loudly or collapse publicly. Instead, he carried the weight of expectation with restraint, learning early how to perform while holding something of himself in reserve, waiting for the moment when he could define who he truly was beyond the script. Breaking free through rock and roll. That defining moment arrived in 1957 when Ricky Nelson did the unthinkable for a clean-cut sitcom star. He became a rock and roll singer. Skeptics expected novelty. What they got was legitimacy. His first hit, I'm Walkin', proved he wasn't borrowing credibility. He earned it. Soon followed Poor Little Fool, which made history as the first song to reach #1 on Billboard's newly created Hot 100 chart. Ricky's voice was calm, controlled, and emotionally direct, standing apart from louder contemporaries. He didn't need theatrics. Sincerity carried him. Hits like Hello Mary Lou, Travelin' Man, and Lonesome Town cemented his place as one of the most successful male artists of his era. At a time when parents feared rock music, Ricky became the bridge that brought it safely into American living rooms. He wasn't rejecting his past. He was expanding it, proving growth didn't require abandonment. Fame, image, and quiet pressure. While fans saw effortless charm, Ricky's private world was far more complicated. As a teen idol, his image was carefully managed, and few people exerted more influence than his mother, Harriet Nelson. Protective and powerful, she played a major role in shaping his career and personal decisions, sometimes blurring the line between support and control. Ricky, reserved by nature, rarely pushed back publicly, choosing harmony over confrontation. Romantic relationships became public property, dissected by fans and press alike. He was expected to remain eternally wholesome, even as he matured into adulthood with real emotional needs. This tension between who he was and who he was expected to be never fully disappeared. Yet Ricky didn't self-destruct under the pressure. Instead, he internalized it, channeling uncertainty into music that grew increasingly introspective. His calm exterior masked a man constantly negotiating identity, loyalty, and independence, learning that fame often offers visibility without understanding. Marriage, family, and cracks beneath the surface. In 1963, Ricky married Kristen "Chris" Harmon, a union that felt like American royalty, blending Hollywood and professional sports fame. Together they built a family with 4 children, including actress Tracy Nelson and twins Gunnar and Matthew, who would later achieve musical success themselves. From the outside, the Nelson household looked ideal, a continuation of the wholesome image audiences adored. Inside, however, the pressures of fame, constant touring, and emotional distance slowly eroded the marriage. Ricky struggled to balance artistic ambition with domestic stability, while Chris faced life in the shadow of a carefully maintained public persona. Over time, resentment replaced harmony. Their 1982 divorce was painful and deeply personal, marking the end of an era Ricky had hoped would last. The emotional toll reshaped his later work, infusing it with reflection and sadness. Family remained important to him, but the dream of permanence had quietly slipped away, choosing evolution over nostalgia. As the 1960s reshaped popular music, many early rock stars faded or clung to the past. Ricky Nelson chose a different path. Rather than chase former glory, he embraced change, forming the Stone Canyon Band and exploring a sound that blended rock with country influences. At the time, the move confused longtime fans who wanted familiar hits, not experimentation. Yet Ricky believed growth was essential to survival as an artist. This era would later be recognized as foundational to country rock, influencing bands like the Eagles and Poco. In 1972, frustration and clarity collided in Garden Party, a song inspired by an audience that rejected his new material. Its message was simple and enduring. You can't please everyone, so you've got to please yourself. The song wasn't bitter. It was resolute. Ricky had learned that authenticity mattered more than approval, even if it cost him applause. Acting beyond the sitcom image. Music wasn't Ricky Nelson's only artistic outlet. He built a respected acting career that proved his talent extended beyond family television. His role in Rio Bravo, alongside John Wayne and Dean Martin, showcased a quiet confidence that translated seamlessly to film. Unlike many musicians turned actors, Ricky didn't rely on novelty. He earned credibility through restraint and presence. Over the years, he maintained steady work in television and film, avoiding the desperation that often shadows former child stars. Acting offered him something music sometimes couldn't: the chance to step fully outside himself. Yet even here, he resisted excess, choosing roles that felt honest rather than flashy. Ricky never chased reinvention for its own sake. Whether on screen or on stage, his work reflected consistency, professionalism, and emotional understatement. He didn't demand attention, he invited it, trusting audiences to meet him where he stood. The night that changed everything. On December 31st, 1985, Ricky Nelson boarded a vintage aircraft bound for a New Year's Eve performance in Texas. What should have been another routine journey ended in tragedy. The accident claimed the lives of Ricky, his fiancée Helen Blair, and several members of his band. In the immediate aftermath, speculation spread quickly, fueled by rumor rather than fact. Despite official reports clearing Ricky of any wrongdoing, uncertainty lingered for years, leaving his family and fans without clear answers. The absence of transparency allowed myths to take root, overshadowing a life defined by discipline and professionalism. What made the loss especially painful was its suddenness. Ricky wasn't fading into obscurity or retreating from life. He was still working, still evolving, still planning a future. The shock wasn't just that he was gone, but that his story felt unfinished, interrupted mid-sentence. Truth, accountability, and preventable loss. Years later, continued investigation brought long-awaited clarity. The tragedy was not the result of rebellion, recklessness, or mystery, but of negligence. The aircraft had known safety issues, including poorly maintained systems that never should have been approved for flight. Those responsible failed to act, allowing preventable risks to remain unaddressed. This revelation shifted the narrative from speculation to accountability. Ricky Nelson's death was not an unavoidable accident. It was the consequence of decisions that prioritized convenience over safety. While the truth offered answers, it also carried anger and sorrow. Knowing the loss could have been prevented only deepened the sense of injustice. Yet setting the record straight mattered. It restored dignity to Ricky's legacy and honored the lives lost alongside him. Sometimes closure doesn't come with comfort, only clarity. In this case, clarity ensured that blame no longer rested on rumor, but where it belonged. A legacy that still echoes, Ricky Nelson's story is not one of downfall, but of endurance. He successfully navigated childhood fame, reinvented himself musically, built a family, and remained creatively active until the end of his life. His influence spans generations, from early rock and roll to country rock and beyond. Songs like Lonesome Town and Garden Party continue to resonate because they reflect universal themes: longing, independence, and self-acceptance. Ricky never chased immortality, yet he achieved it through authenticity. His life reminds us that growth often invites resistance and that integrity sometimes costs applause. The tragedy of his passing does not define him. It underscores how much more he had to offer. Remembering Ricky Nelson means celebrating resilience, honesty, and quiet courage. His music remains, his influence endures, and his story stands as both inspiration and reminder. Even legends are human, and their voices deserve to be heard clearly without distortion.